Yeah, there is now. Okay, so we're now going to get ready for the ordination. The monks are here, the family is here, all the supporters are here, but where has Simon gone? He's vanished. So I'm sure he'll be here in a few minutes. So we're going to be ceremony according to, oh, he's up there having his photograph taken. According to the old tradition, this is a ceremony 2,500 years old, probably a bit older than that. The same ceremony, but just a different person. So, you're going to video. Okay, very good. So, Simon, for posterity. So, to let you know that Simon, many of you have seen him in monastery down at Serpentine, and he has been completed 1 year of preliminary training, and we usually know that he's done a year of preliminary training because the white clothes he wears start to get stained and ragged, and when they get brown enough, it's a time to actually to change them into real brown robes. And it's also that it's a time when they can do a service to our community. There's many things as a monk we can't do. We can't do any cooking, we can't handle any money or do driving. So that's usually one of the jobs which the people in white do for the community. So they do a service. It's a time when we can actually see their character to make sure they are suitable to be part of our community, and also they can check us out to make sure they want to be part of our monastery. So they check each other out, and it's also another wonderful thing is because they're in the kitchen and because they are helping everybody, all the people who support our here, and there are people who have seen Simon. He's helped them take the food out of their car and helped them put the food back again, help them with the washing up, talking to them, getting to know them, and you get to know him, which is a wonderful way where people can get to know the people who come into their monasteries. And also that sometimes it happens, we get who are really good cooks, because that's their job. And if they're really, really good cooks, we usually put off their ordination for 2 years, because after this, they can't ordain. So that must mean that Simon's cooking is not really that good. Otherwise, we wouldn't let him get out of the kitchen and become a novice. No, it's fine. You're cooking. So now we're going to start the ceremony in the usual way. I've been asked to light the candles and incense, and so those of you who are Buddhist, you can join in after I light the candles and incense by bowing 3 times and doing the Arahang Samma Sambuddho. Okay. And now please chant with me. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddha Bhagavanta Abhivate Suakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Very good. Okay. Did Simon bow as well? Yes. I've got to make sure for this. We can't have any moles coming into our monastery. Okay. Most beautiful parts. Up to his parents and maybe his sister as well to do a forgiveness ceremony. This is so rare in Australia that a young man can go up to his parents and say thank you for bringing him up. So off you go. Very good. And do you want to say your yeah, okay. I'm not looking. Good. Okay. So, got a very good. And please, Mr. and Mrs. Power, you don't have to worry about losing him, because even as a monk, we always have to look after our parents. And there is one of our monks, he was one of my closest friends. He was just ordained a few months before me. He was a Canadian monk, and his mother got really, really sick, and there's no one to look after him, so he volunteered to look after her in the last months of his life. And apparently that once he started looking after her, she started recovering, and he was looking for about 9 or 10 years. His brother had an account at the shop, so the monk would actually get the food for his mother and cook it for her, clean her, look after her in all sorts of ways. Passed away, then he could go back to the monastery. And it was all, oh, she would die soon, but she never did. And that was a very beautiful way to show that, children, even if they're monks, can still look up, still, send them down or something, or you need someone to look after something or other. He's always there. He's always your son. Because in Buddhism, the Buddha gave this simile. He says, your gratitude to your parents is so great that even if you put your mother on your left shoulder, your father on your right shoulder, and you carry them around for the rest of their lives, then you still would not have paid off your debt to them. And that's actually how we think in Buddhism. So we always really, really respect our families. So because he's becoming a novice and then a monk, you won't miss him. He'll be there bothering you again and looking after you. Okay. Very good. So in the old Pali language, he was just asking forgiveness of me now, because on behalf of all the monks who put up with him for 12 months, very good.
Aham bante papajang dutiya aham bante papajang yachami salpadukkani saranami bana sachi haranataya imam kasawanga hetoa papajetamam bante anukampam upadaya sabba dukkhani saranani bana sachi karanataya imam kasawam gahetoa abajetamam bante anukampam dukkhani saranani bana.
So of being a monk, and we can't do this ordination against people's will, even though I did suggest we can do many ordinations at the same time, and I asked any wives who wanted to offer their husbands for the Range Retreat to be ordained as a novice. Many people were very interested. But I say you can't do things like that. A person has to want actually to become a novice. So the first thing was actually asking 3 times, can I be a novice? And also the purpose, that these robes over here are not for the purpose of looking cool, looking sort of beautiful, a nice fashion statement. These simple robes here are just for the purpose of going forth, simplicity, letting go the things in the life, for the purpose of freedom from all suffering, and also letting go of the sense of ego and self. So we all look the same, we don't have different fashions. Just look around here, and how many people have got the same clothes on? It's only, it doesn't distinguish others. So differences of me being more fashionable than somebody else, and it also means that we're doing this for the sake of achieving Nibbana, the ultimate happiness. So that's what he asked for, and I always like to emphasize that that is the reason you've gone forth. You're joining our monastery, not for an easy life, not for all the delicious food which we get, not for like a life where you don't have to get up, but a life of simplicity, freedom from suffering. So please remember that. Okay, so now the next one.
Salpatukkani saranani bana sachi karanataya etam kasavam datva apajetamam bante anukampam upadaya salpatukkani saranani bana sachi karanataya etam kasavam datva apajetamam bante anukampam upadaya bana etam kasavam gatoa apajetamam bante anukampam upadaya.
Very good. So now you can sit comfortably for a little while, and you're about to go forth. These robes which I'm about to give you, because most we had to die. The wood from a jackfruit tree, which came up a nice brown colour. So these are chemical dyed, but the idea they're brown is just so that you can spill your coffee or tea on it and you don't have to wash it that much. It's so practical, and it's just an ordinary colour. It doesn't really stand out. It just fits into the forest. And I do remember once going to because this is actually the colours of nature, blending into the forests of our world. So it's a simple colour, and of course these robes are just there to keep you, protect your life. They're enough there to keep you warm, not fashionable, and they're just square pieces of cloth. My robe over here I always use as a bed sheet wherever I go. So you use it for many, many different purposes. So it's a very useful piece of cloth, and just enough to keep you simple. And also that once you become a novice, you do have a new name. And even though we'll give you a new name, my name as a monk was Bhram, the full name, Bhram. But for years, my mother refused to call me Bhram or Wangso. She said, give in. So, as far as your mum and dad and your sister are concerned, you'll always be Tim. Simon. Or something. So, Simon, sorry. I've had a long day. So they're all... But your new name is? Akaliko. And so what does that mean?
Timeless, beyond time.
Okay.
Able to be achieved in his lifetime.
Oh no, that's Sanditika.
No,
Okay. Okay, anyway. You can be one... the one which is timeless. Is we always like to notice that any truth, any real meaning, any real love is always something which is beyond time. Yeah, I know, I don't know, how old are you now, Simon? So in all those years, you've got 40 now. Almost, okay. You've got your parents, they'll always be their parents. That bond is timeless. Now with your sister, there's many things in life which are timeless. Yes, you see your parents getting old and you get old, but there's something which never gets old between you. And there's many other things like truth, kindness, peace, that also is timeless. Other things in this world like your wealth and positions, your fame, your knowledge, that is always subject to time. You do forget things. You do lose money, sometimes you gain money. This status in life, sometimes you get more famous, sometimes you lose your fame. Even your health, that's not timeless, it comes and goes. But there's other things in life which are really timeless. And those are the things you should always focus on in your monastic life. Not the things which come and go, which many people search for in the world, but the things which are always there, timeless, truth, peace, things like forgiveness, asking forgiveness. That's a timeless, beautiful ceremony. And also just the peace and happiness of the present moment. That's where the truth lies in the timeless now. So always remember what your name means and keep it in mind so that later on in life you can contemplate that and you can live up to the name which you've chosen. Okay, so now I've got to give you meditation. And I have to keep telling this story every time, especially for your family who don't know why we do this. And the reason we do this, the 5 meditations, is on hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth and skin. You've heard this many times, Akalika, that this is the outer part of a human body. So when we see somebody, that's all we ever see. Hair of the head, hair of the face, or the body. Part of a person. Sometimes we can judge people. This is an old person, this is a young person, this is a beautiful person, this is an ugly person. It's just skin, that's all. It's just hair, that's all. So when you hair is like, they can be rotten teeth, they can be fresh teeth, they can be false teeth usually. And you can have all types of nails, painted and just ordinary nails. But remember, that's only the covering. The human being is somewhere inside of that. And when you don't look at the hair or the skin or these other things on the outside, you can see the person, which is far, far more interesting than what's on the surface. Sometimes people with just what's on the outside in respect and care, which is totally different than the superficial stuff which people see in one another. We're looking much deeper as monks, as novices, beyond the hair, the skin. What makes them a person? To the old custom to recite these, and you've got to recite them after me. So, Keza, Loma, Naka, Danta, Tacho, And now I've got to mix them all up and ask you what they are. Naka,
Nails.
Kesa,
Hair of the head.
Tacho, Loma,
Hair of the body.
Mangsa,
No idea.
because that's not in there. Very good. That's the flesh, by the way, meat. Okay, never mind. That was a trick one just to see how you respond under pressure. Very good. So you passed the test. So now if you'd like to come up and I'll give you your outermost shoulder robe. Did you make these or were they from the stores?
They were given by Concord and...
Wow.
Then
Oh, very good. These are really... Always looks like I'm going to... So put that on you. That's the first bit of brown you put on. Very good. And here is the rest of your robes. Because I've got to make sure, as his preceptor, he's properly attired. Yeah, this looks okay. Have you tried them on already? And they fit? Okay, here we go. Try them on again. So now we send him outside to get dressed. And we always have one of the monks to make sure that he does it properly. So then he can come back inside, going out as Simon, coming out back again as a Kalika. So off you go. And this ceremony, okay, I'm just ad-libbing for the time being, all the novice jokes. First of all, for his family, you might like to know what the word novice means. Do you know what it means? It means, if you look at the word, it's a compound. It means no vice. So once he joins his brown robes, he's not allowed to have any vices anymore. So no more going to nightclubs, no more going to pubs, no more going to listen to music in big auditoriums. So he has to now behave. And I've got to make sure he does that. So what we're actually doing there is living a more simple lifestyle. A lifestyle where we don't look for happiness in entertainment. We get the happiness, a simple happiness from inside. And happiness in just being of service to other people, looking after others, being peaceful, being wise, being kind. And of course, in deep meditation, that's where we learn how to get some of the greatest happinesses. So we have all of our rules for being a novice. And one of the most important rules, which a novice monk takes, which distinguishes him from being a man in white, is from now on he's not allowed to have any money. And with not having any money, it means he doesn't have any debts. And so he doesn't have to worry about that part of life. And you know that in our world we're always so concerned about have we got enough money for this, enough money for that. But for now he has to be totally dependent on the generosity of all the people who come and look after him. If it's not in the stores, he can't wear anything. And it was the case when I was a young monk. So often in a very poor monastery, we just didn't have anything. There was once, for example, we ran out of soap to wash with. And so we can't ask people, we can't go and buy something with money. We just had to do without, just wash in water. And being in the tropics, after 3 or 4 days of washing only in water and not using any soap, the local villagers soon figured out what was happening. We became so smelly that we got this whole gift of bars and bars of soap to make sure it never happened again. So it all works out in the end. So we live a life which is not dedicated to money, just making do with what we have. And of course, those of you who lived in Bodhinyana Monastery know we got more than enough. But we don't really worry about any money. And it also means no security as well. Because we all like to put money aside just in case of the rainy day, to have superannuation, to have pensions. And I'm telling a lot of people, it's my 65th birthday next month, and I should be getting a pension. But no, you don't have pensions, you don't have superannuations. My investment for the future is all the good karma I've done over those years, and I know that there'll always be plenty of food and plenty of people looking after me because of karma. So we don't invest with money, we invest with kindness and doing good to other people. And his parents, you can see so many people coming here today, and you can actually see they're supporting your son, supporting your brother, and that's really quite moving. See how many people come to this little ordination and will make sure that he always gets well fed. I've been a monk for 42 years, look how well fed I am. And also to make sure he's always looked after. But when you don't have any money, it does mean that you cannot go and do what you want to do. It has to be appropriate, it has to be whatever we have in the stores. You can't go out and buy some whiskey if you want to drink whiskey, because you're not allowed to offer that to a monk. So it means he lives a very, very simple life. It's a life of plenty of comfort, but without the stress of having to get funds and stuff like that. He's supported. And in return for the support which you give him, that you watch him grow as a novice, then as a monk, and then you go and listen to his first teaching, his first talk, and you see just like the monk or the nun emerge. And many of you have been here long enough to actually to see that, see the growth and the training of a teaching monk. You just have to look at, say, someone like Ajahn Bhram, who's becoming very, very well known and famous now. And some of you may remember when he first came to Bodhinyana in white, just wet behind the ears and in many other places as well, and just training, growing little by little. You saw his novice ordination, then his monk ordination, and eventually becoming his first talks when he was very nervous, and now being able to give really, really good talks, just like many of the other people you see here. And one day you'll see every one of these monks coming up here to give a nice Dhamma talk, and you think, wow, we've seen those from the very early time, and you can see just how we are creating a community which can serve in many, many different ways, our community. So you look after us, and we go back to serve in so many different ways, teaching meditation, counseling, being good friends, being inspirations, and just being someone who lives a very moral, virtuous lifestyle, a lifestyle which is dedicated to not harming other beings, but to service and peace and quietness. It's an inspiration in our world, where so many other people we cannot trust, where other people, they just tend up to tell lies. Again, one of my early stories, one of my old friends from school, he came to visit me in Thailand, and I told him that one of our duties every morning at dawn, we go out on alms round through the villages. And he said he'd love to come and join on the alms round, but we left about 5:30 in the morning. He said, I don't usually get up that time. And I said, I will wake you up. I'll knock on the door just 5 minutes before. And then, of course, I did that the following morning, and we were walking on alms round, and he said, that night was a very strange night for me, because you said you'd come to my door at 5:25 and you would wake me up. He said, I knew you would do that. I lived in London, you can't trust people. But he said, in a monastery, I can trust you. And that made such a difference. And this is one of the wonderful things, that as a monk, as a novice, you're trustworthy. You just don't tell lies. So, that's enough ad-libbing. That was very, very fast. I remember when we did a novice ordination for one of the nuns, she took forever to change in. I think you know. Telephone kiosk can immediately change. Okay. Please welcome Akalika, beautiful robes. Okay. Okay, so he's just asking for the precepts for the first time, now he does it again.
Aham bhante sarana salam yachami tutiyampi aham bante saranasilang yachami. Tatiyampi aham bante saranasilang yachami.
Namo tassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma samma.
This is where I precepts, and this is actually what counts as a novice ordination. Everything so far has just been the preparation. This is giving those 10 precepts counts as the ordination as a novice. So, Yamahang Wadami Tang Wadehi. As I say, you say after. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammang. Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami. Gamanang Nititang. Veramani. Adina Dana Veramani. Abramacharya Veramani. Musawada Veramani. Sura Meraya Majapamada Tana Veramani. Ikala Veramani. Nacha Gita Wadita Visuka Dasana Veramani. Mala Ganda Vile Pana Vibhusanatana Veramani. Beauty making mistake. 8 out of 10, only 2 to go. Here we go. Ucha Sayana Mahasayana Veramani. Jata Rupa Rachata Patikahana Veramani. That was close. Imani Dasa Dani Samadhi. Very good. So you've completed taking 10 precepts. And will you let me know what will happen if you break any of those precepts?
You'll forgive me?
Well, what do you reckon, Sangha? No. Take it away. But there was one time that we don't do guilt and punishment in Buddhism. There was one time an Anagarika, he came to confess to me that he broke one of his precepts. One of those precepts, the 6th one, we call a bhojana, is not eating anything solid in the afternoon. We have our meals in the morning time. And he told me he went into the kitchen in my monastery, no one was there, and he made himself a sandwich and ate it in the afternoon. And he came to see me in the morning saying that he hadn't slept all night. He felt so guilty. Response as Buddhism, we say, well done that you've admitted enough to let somebody else know. And then I told him of all the other things, afternoon and the evening, things like cheese outside monastery, orange juice, precepts. You know this story, but others don't. I said, no, we don't do punish me. If you don't punish me, I'll do the same. It was Robert Hughes, The Fatal Shot, describing just a very known as the cat of nine tails. And he said he was. I would why he's dropped. He was going to get whipped. He really. At that time, we had 2 cats. $50 cat there, 50 strokes of the cat. Learn some kindness and compassion or something. So that's what happens. So we just acknowledge, we learn, and try again next time. But you've been keeping your precepts so well, that should be no problem for you. So now, having taken your precepts, it is now the time for the monks to give you their first blessing. And after that, you turn around and, having abandoned all the worldly stuff, you can turn around. So first of all, we give you the blessing. Idam me. Idam me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu yatayo. Idam me nyat. No, that's the wrong one. That's the sharing of reverence. So atalada. Okay. I'm having a bad day today. According you, Tim, and the wrong chant. Anyway, it's chant anyway. Yeah, okay. Fail. So atalado sukita virolo Buddha sasane arogyo sukita ho hi sahasa behiyati bi so atalado sukita virolo sukita ho sabe bi so atalado sukita aha hiyati bi. And if you want to know what the meaning of that, it means it's well gotten for you to have done this ordination ceremony today, and it may be not only you, but your relation. Just a turn of a gift to offer to him. A first bowl, I think, should come to you first of all, from your way of support. No gift at all. Just please come up just to wish him well in his monastic life. And that finishes the formal part. And apparently, Lynn, is there some tea and biscuits over there left? So for those of you who wish to stay afterwards, there is some tea, coffee, biscuit. Okay, from your twin sister. It's a really this it's Novice. And please don't call him Tim either. Hey, Bundaberg beer. Hey, what's he offering there? Ginger beer, okay. Yeah. And for those of you who are interested, the next ordination will be on the 18th of July, and that's this novice, Nibuto, is going to become monk at the monastery. So, Nibuto will be Bhikkhu Nibuto on the 18th of July. And there was some confusion about the time. I think it really should be 7 o'clock, not 5 p.m. Who said 5 p.m.? 7, yes, 7 p.m., yeah. This is what happens when you let go of possessions. You just get more. So nice. This is the best part of the ceremony. But you've got to do the other part.
It looks like he's an old hand.